If you have a truck that has a level kit or a lift kit on it, there's one common problem. As soon as you go to add a trailer or a boat to hook up, you've got squat. And unless you're a teenager or going through a midlife crisis, that's a problem. I recently added a lot of weight to the back of my truck and I'm experiencing squatting without even hooking up my boat. I started looking on the internet for airbags and I really didn't want to deal with the hassle of that. So I came across road active suspension, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to install it on the back of this truck on the leaf springs and see if it fixes our problem. First thing we're going to start with is some measurements hooked up to my boat from the ground to the fender. So let me pull it around on solid ground and we'll check those measurements. So we are definitely experiencing squat just hooking to not that heavy of a boat. Let's measure this and see where we're at. We're sitting at 40 5/8. Before we install the kit, we're gonna take it for a test drive, show you how it does right now. So what we're about to test is how bad it bounces when we go across a bridge. So we're coming up on that right now, and let's see how bad it is. All right guys, we're gonna make one more pass and see how she bounces again, and then we're gonna go back, install the road active system and test drive it then. So here we go. So going over that bridge, there's definitely a lot of bounce. I'm hoping that the road active suspension gets rid of that and it gets rid of the squat. Well, as we head back, we might as well enjoy the sounds of nature. All right, we're back. Let's get a measurement before we start installing it. So the back right now is sitting at 41.5. All right, guys, the first thing you want to do is safety. So I jacked up right under here, under the differential. I put a safety jack under the axle, and I also put a jack under the front eye of the leaf spring. I went ahead and installed the driver's side just to see how easy it was gonna be, and that's exactly how it was. It took about 15-20 minutes. I'm gonna jump to the other side and show you detailed step-by-step on how to install this. Just wanna make sure y'all get a good look at where I installed that. You can see the pin right there under the leaf spring. Make sure it's touching, and then when you go up top, make sure that that is centered with that eye. This is exactly where it's sitting, on top of the leaf spring. And here's a close-up of the gapping. You want to grab your spring and you want to take it up through the back and put this over top of the leaf spring connection. You can leave this sitting like this, and then you want to take this bolt right here straight out, let that hang down. I'm going to take this bolt and run it through the number 2 position and put that right back through here, and take your nut and slide that on. So right there is the back leaf spring connection. You put that over top of that, and then it goes straight down this way, and you can leave that dangling right up under the leaf spring. Now, in order to get this tight, make sure you grab the threaded rod and take your spring and start twisting to the right, and this will tighten that up. Once this starts to get harder to tighten up by hand, make sure this pin is touching the leaf springs, and this piece back here is centered on the leaf spring eye. Now you want to grab a 14mm socket. We're going to tighten this spring up. You will see 2 discs that came in the package. The white disc will increase your suspension strength by 25%. The black disc will increase your suspension strength by 40%. I want to go with the black. So what I'll do is I'll tighten this spring until the spacing allows for me to stick this black disc in between the spring. You also want to take a 3/4 wrench and start tightening up this pin. All right, we've got the spring tightened down. Let's check the spacing, and you can see you can take this little black spacer and stick it in between every single little spring. Last thing you want to do is take these nuts and slide them down against the spring, and then you want to take the jam nut and tighten those down. And now our road active suspension system is installed on the Trail Boss. I'm excited to try this out, so let me slap the tires back on and take it for a test drive. All right, we've got the tires back on. Let's check the measurements. So from the ground to the fender, we are right under 43. So we've gained some inches. Now let's jump in the truck and take the road test. We're starting our test drive. I'm not really experiencing any difference in ride quality. Everything seems fine. I do, however, feel that the nose is definitely pointed down more than usual, because usually it's kind of up in the air. Hey, there went a squatted truck. All right, we're coming up on the bridge. Let's see how she bounces. There definitely still is a little bit of bounce, but it seems to be a little more stable. All right, let's take a final measurement with us hooked up to the boat. We're now sitting at about 41 3/4. The front is sitting right over 42. So it is gonna squat just a little bit, but we've taken quite a bit out of it, and this is gonna be much better down the road. All right, guys, the video can't end here. I wanna drive around for at least a week, get a good feel for it. The biggest thing that I'm liking so far is I've got all this added weight and I don't have squat anymore. So that's a good thing. So I'll check back in a week after I finish driving this thing. All right, guys, I've gotten a much better feel for this road active suspension system. Let's talk about the normal drive. It's almost as if I've turned on a second traction control button. The rear end seems to be a lot more planted down, and in the turns, it's way more stable. I love the fact that I can add weight to the back of my truck and not worry about the squatting issue I was having. If you don't pull a boat or a trailer, this is a great addition if you want an overland setup where you add a rack or a truck bed tent. If you pull a boat or a trailer, this is a must. I actually did a tournament this past weekend pulling a heavier boat down the interstate, and the drive was so much more stable. When we got back, I measured before unhooking the boat from the ground, it was just over 42 inches. When I unhooked from the boat, it was just below 43 inches. And again, this was a much heavier boat, so this system really helps combat the squatting I was getting before. I rode with somebody that has airbags on their truck, and they said this was a lot less aggressive than the airbags he has, and it was a much smoother drive. I absolutely recommend this product. It really did make a difference. It strengthened up the suspension, and it was an easy install you can do right in your driveway. If you want to get your hands on one of these guys, I'll leave a link in the description below. Well, if this video helped, make sure you hit the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so. Until next time, see y'all.